We are recording our session today. My name is Dr. Roper. I'm the director of the Writing Center, where you are. Now that you know where we are, we hope that you will use our facility for all of your writing needs, and we are so excited to have Ms. Yvette Clayton here with us from Career Services. She's going to go through how to get your resumes ready for work. So if you have internships or jobs that you're pursuing, you're in the right place, literally, to get ready. And we just want you to know that the facility that we have here is here for your service. As Career Services is here to help you with your career needs, we are here to help you with your writing needs, whether it's for classes or personal statements or resumes and so forth. So we work together on that to provide you with all the opportunities that you could possibly have to succeed. We hope that you will enjoy the workshop today. And Ms. Dominique Roberson is one of our tutors who works here as well. Ariana Woodson is our grad assistant. And we have some things that we're going to do at the end of the presentation to make sure that you're good and ready. And we hope that you'll fill out our survey when we're done. I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to sit over here and let Ms. Clayton do what she does. Thanks again.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Roper, for inviting me over. As she said, I'm the director of the Career Development Services Center, and we are here to help. Whether you're looking for an internship, co-op, career opportunity, field placement, applications for grad school, almost everybody that you talk to is going to ask you for your resume. We had 97 employers at the spring career fair, and every single one of them asked students for a resume. And so the goal is just to provide general overview for resumes. Some of them become more tailored just depending upon your major, but the goal is to just make sure you can know the key components, and then I can help you drill down if you have specific questions based on your major. So, who are we? Career Development Services. We also abbreviated with CDS. We help you on all majors. Okay, every major that's on this campus, and undergrad and grad, is developing the skills needed to secure and retain a successful career. The flyer that you have for the event tomorrow is going to talk about how to retain it. Students are going to talk about their internship co-op experiences, what they have observed in terms of students who are successful and students who are not. So in addition to helping with resumes, we want to make sure that you not only secure the position, but that you succeed in the workplace. We do employer information sessions. Over the course of the academic year, we do at least 50 events. Many employers call us to make presentations so that they can tell students about their employment opportunities. As I mentioned, we have a fall and spring career fair. It's held in the Student Health and Wellness Center gym. We have a dress code, and as you can see, I think we had about 700 students come to the last one. So we're trending in the right direction. We have mock interview day. Any student can benefit from that, whether it's held in the engineering building or now. All of these employers can give you good feedback on your interviewing skills, whether you're applying for employment, grad school, whatever. They can help you before you have your actual interview. We also have on-campus interviews. The day after the career fair, we have this, but we also have employers coming to our space, which is in the Patton Hall building, the Patton Building Room 101. They come to do that. And we do resume referrals. Employers will call us and ask for resumes of students. They tell us what they're looking for. So it's important for you to have your resume uploaded into Handshake. Oh, this is one on the slide. So it's moving. We do the YMTF outreach program. I don't know if you all had professionals coming into your classroom in the spring, but they went to 120 classrooms. Many of them are alumni who come back to talk to students. So we have a wide variety of programs. We do have a graduate professional school day. Some students say, I want to go to law school or medical school, or I'm going to grad school. So we alternate between A&M, Oakwood, and UAH, where more than 70 graduate programs from across the country come to our campuses recruiting students. So, and that's held the first Monday in October every year. And we do Federal Employment Preparation Week because the largest employer in the state of Alabama is right here in Huntsville. It's called the Redstone Arts. And the federal government is one of the few employers that hires almost every major. Now, they're not all in Huntsville, but they will hire across the board. So we've had, when I first got here 6 years ago, they would say, we have more students coming from, Tuskegee and, Alabama State than we have at A&M. Where are your students? So we launched this with the goal of helping you all understand how to create a federal resume and just to know the opportunities that exist with the federal government. That is a different resume altogether, but it's definitely something that you should be familiar with. And last but not least, we do host or partner with organizations to host dining etiquette. Because you may find that one of your interviews may actually be held over lunch. So understanding, you're already going to be nervous, so understanding, or even just refreshing, which fork do I pick up, which knife, we do that just to make, in addition to that, we have the Black Tie Gala, sometimes our students go to that, and you will attend other events, so making sure that students feel comfortable with that will take away some of the stress of being in a more formal environment. Resume writing, workshop, interview skills, those are just some of the things that we do. We do have one in our database on the CPS website. We have Handshake, which has thousands of job postings. We have Focus 2, which is designed to help students who are not really sure about their major to do an assessment. We have Interview Stream, through which you can actually, from your laptop, you can do a mock interview and view yourself. And we also have career counseling in our office. So, and people are assigned to different majors, different groups. Okay. So, like I said, we're in the Patent Building, Room 101. Okay. So, we kind of just did this informally, but the Bulldog introduction is, hello, good morning, good afternoon. My name is, I am a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, graduate student majoring in at Alabama A&M University. And you can add on to it, it's a pleasure to meet you. You want to give them a warm smile, a confident handshake. When students do that at the career fair, employers come to us and say, boy, your students really know how to present themselves. They really introduce themselves well. So we did that, but it's something that you just practice and get more confident with it. And if you have anything else to add, I'm president of the whatever club, or I'm an e-board member, or anything else that you do that you want to throw into that. I'm a merit scholar. You can throw that into your introduction. But it's very important for you because you sometimes you have 10 seconds, to make that first impression. You want to make sure that you do it well. So the resume, and we're calling it the Bulldog resume, because we've talked to employers, we've gotten feedback from them in terms of what they're looking for in resumes. So in my almost 6 years of being here, we've already reformatted the resumes twice. We will continue to do that as employers' needs change. Okay, so this is the one that we're working with right now. Why do you need a resume? It's the most commonly requested document. Anywhere you go, they're going to say, send me a copy of your resume. Where do you have your resume? It's the first impression with online applications. So many jobs are posted online that you have to be able to make sure your resume is strong, because at this point, it's just everybody's on a sheet of paper. So how do you differentiate yourself? And employers may spend 10 seconds, just browsing through resumes to figure out which one they want to look at more, especially if they have 50 to 100 applicants, or more applying for the same position. So ultimately, it is you and that Bulldog introduction, how I am, on paper, right? So it's why you really want to think about it and spend some time drafting it so that it presents you best. So, what would their resumes say? If you looked at this picture, do you think that their resumes, if it looked like this, if on paper, would say that they're polished, professional, motivated? Right. So that's what we're going for, is a strong professional presentation on paper. Okay. So it doesn't have to be intimidating. And as I mentioned, we've got the So the traditional resume is most requested by non-government. It's a broad overview of your accomplishments. It can include select information, meaning you don't have to have everything on your resume. And references are provided upon request. So the line references provided doesn't need to be on the resume anymore because employers expect it. And if they're moving you to the next level to request references, they'll ask for it. So that's something the employers tell us. You don't need to see that. It's a given. The federal government resume is a lot more detailed. They'll ask you for your current and your past salary information, specific dates of employers, the names of your supervisors, their addresses. It's a lot more detailed, and that's actually found through USA Jobs. And they actually ask you to list your references. And you always want to ask someone if they're willing to be a reference before you include them on there. So there's different. We're going to focus today on the traditional one because this is a workshop, in and of itself. Okay. So kind of the components, if you will, of traditional resume is just going to be your heading, any personal summary. So at the top, it should be what you're looking for. So that an employer can read off the bat, are you looking for an internship, a co-op, a part-time job, or career opportunity? Any awards and honors if applicable, any related coursework, especially as you get more experience, or if you have more internship, the coursework may not be as relevant. But for some employers who are not familiar with A&M and with our particular program, having those courses at least lets them know what you've been exposed to, the types of subjects that you've taken. Technical skills, if applicable, that relate to your major. Other skills and attributes, which we'll talk more about. Class projects. You may say, well, I don't have any experience yet. Okay, but have you done a class project? Because that's something that you can add to your resume. An internship, a workplace, volunteer. There's different ways that you can get experience, which we'll talk about more. And then membership and activities, especially if you've had leadership positions. So the heading, the key thing is, kind of having your name on there, your address, your email address. It's best to use your Bulldog email address, or after you graduate, make sure that it's something professional, okay? I just had another one, somebody had something like Gucci something, and I mean, that's maybe your nickname, and that's perfectly fine, but it doesn't go on the resume. And check your voicemail, because if an employer calls your number, and there's music playing in the background, and you're like, hey, if this is your message for your friends, it's not the message that employers want to hear. And that can make or break you. I had an employer she said she had a very professional resume from somebody, but the voicemail was like, hey, this is sugar daddy. And she's like, what? This resume doesn't say that, and so now it was up to this student to kind of say, no, I'm really this person on paper, and you don't have to worry about seeing that side of me. So your personal side, your professional side, at some point actually intertwine. But while you're in school, they understand that, but it still needs to positively reflect your brand.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
so
can I ask a question real quick on that same subject? Do you talk at all about social media in that regard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're definitely not talking about social media.
Yeah.
So these are just, it's conservative is good, but it can be left justified, it can be centered. There's different ways, especially depending upon the amount of content that you have. And so it can be all on one line, just depending upon how much space you need. But it still needs to be just pretty simple and conservative. Where's Alabama A&M located? It's in Normal, Alabama, even though we're in Huntsville, because we've got this P.O. box. So we just make sure that students put that on their resume. Okay, so make sure you know the name of your major, and what type of degree you're getting, because there's a Bachelor of Arts, there's a Bachelor of Science, there's a Master's degree. So make sure that you're clear on the actual title of your degree. I found that a number of students don't know that. And so even since I've done this, you don't even have to say expect anymore. You talked to an employer recently, she said, just put it on there. And if your date changes, then you update your resume. So you could actually put the year of graduation It's right there on the right side. So opinions vary, but if you have a 3.0 or higher, you for sure want to include that on your resume. If you don't have a 3.0 or higher, some employers say still put it on there. If you have a really good reason, you can put in parentheses asking why. Or if your major GPA is much higher than your cumulative GPA, you can put that on there, but you just have to be prepared to share with an employer why it is, what it is. And I mean, you want to be truthful to a certain extent, but if you had some personal problems or something like that, you don't need to get too deep in terms of letting them know what happened. Because in my freshman year, I just was not focused. But if you look at my transcript, you'll see that my grades from my sophomore, junior, senior year, sophomore, junior year have been significantly higher. But I'm paying the price, for that. But you do also know that you can take classes over here, and the higher grade will replace the lower grade. Okay. We have an awards and honors section, but if you haven't done that, then you can delete that section. But if you made the dean's list or my honor roll, you certainly want to include that type of information in there. And again, we talked about the coursework. So really, every semester you should be updating your resume. So if you're a freshman, you're not going to have a whole lot of classes, but as you advance, you should really just keep those upper level courses and then delete the lower level courses so that it's showing the most recent classes that you take. Can you add the class to your resume? Yes.
It's in progress. Class is in progress.
I say that you could do it. You could put in progress, like say if you went to the fall career fair, because that's usually in September. You could put in progress on that. But typically, believe it or not, if the fall career fair, they usually be recruiting for that following summer. So by the time you finish that semester, with those 2 semesters, you will have completed that class and another one. So you can do that. We tell students that they can put that on there. You can definitely tell an employer, that you're in the midst of taking that class now. So okay. So you state your desired employment opportunity up front. XYZ major, seeking an internship, co-op, or part-time, employment. So again, they know off that, because if an employer is only has internship opportunities, and you said you're a senior, and you could also put graduating senior, seeking, a career opportunity, they know you don't go in the internship stack, you go in another stack. But if you put that on there, especially if you're in school, again, you have to update it, which is not a bad thing to do anyway, okay? But it's kind of that bulldog introduction, because in that you can say I'm a freshman major in da-da-da, and I'm looking for an internship opportunity, right? So they know kind of right off the bat. Unless you're just meeting them casually, then you don't have to say that first, get a chance to know them. And if it's at the career fair, we hope we will have done some research, because in Handshake, you can find everything there is to know about the company, and you can Google them also. And you say, I noticed that you all are looking for interns. I'm very interested in, learning more about the internship program at such and such. But this still lets them know kind of on the front end what you're looking for. So when it's available, you want to make sure that you review the job descriptions carefully, because that will help to show on your resume. You kind of want to be able to show proof that you have the employer's desired skill sets in your resume through your skills, your attributes, and your accomplishments. So it doesn't have to be verbatim, but especially online now, they kind of have these key words in there that they're looking for. Your resume needs to have some of those key words, or it's just going to kick it out. So you need to make sure that you look at those job descriptions and make sure that your resume reflects so that you can do that. In addition, when you have an interview, the employer has the position in their mind. And so they're saying, I need somebody who can do this job. So the more you can talk about your experiences, it can be volunteer work, it can be class projects, part-time job, internships, whatever, so they can say that you have a grasp of the skills that they're looking for, and that you can come in and be able to do it. And everybody's going to train you to do it their way. but they still want to get a sense that you as an applicant have what they're looking for. This is a lot, but I'm just going to go through a couple of this. This is actually an AppleCare college program. They have posted and hired students from A&M. And so this is what they have in their posting in Handshake. They've hired and they want to continue to hire. And this is something that if you live off campus and you have access to a private, secure system, you actually would field phone calls and helps them go through the training. But when people have problems with their computers, you need to be on that line and be able to do it. So just look at some key words. Real passion for technology, and never by the way things operate. You have the ability to figure out problems, multitask across systems, applications, analyze, isolate, and resolve a variety of complex technical issues, effortlessly engage, explaining step-by-step solutions. So this is full of keywords, right? So if you're applying for something with Apple, this is what they're looking for. So you need to make sure that you can convey that you're technologically proficient, that you have really good customer service skills, that you're a problem solver, an independent, resourceful problem solver. That's what, in essence, what they're looking for. And they don't care what your major is. It can be anything. But they're very customer focused because you're going to work independently from home, right? So you'll need the discipline and ability to work remotely from coworkers and management. So they're looking for people who have the capacity to work independently, solve problems, technologically proficient. This is the position that you would find posted in Handshake. And so when you're looking at your skills and accomplishments, you would want to be able to have some of the things that Apple was talking about. Now, let me be clear. They have to be your real skills, right? You don't want to say, I'm going to put this on here because Apple's looking for it, or whoever else is looking for it. And then when they say, wow, tell me about a time when you did that. You want to be able to tell them about a time when you did that, when you solve problems, when you use technology. So otherwise, you have to say, that job isn't for me because I don't have that particular skill set. But there are definitely other jobs out there for me. But that's just an example. So when we're talking about skills, and accomplishments, you want to make sure that they align, but you also want to make sure that you're looking for jobs that align with your skills. And if you say, well, I don't have any experience, so how do I get on there? Volunteer, initially. Put that time in to get that, because an employer is going to be that much more impressed that you went, took the initiative to volunteer and to do some things, shout out somebody, you did all these things to be able to develop those skills, so that now you can apply for a position for which you're going to get paid. Okay? So there's no real good reason to say, I can't apply because I can't get that experience when you're here. And we're here to help you. The office said, I really want to do X, Y, and Z, but I need to show them that I have the capacity to do it. We can help you do that. Okay? So again, it comes from class projects, research. There are definitely research opportunities here on campus. You can work with faculty to be able to do that. Community service, leadership. And so we kind of talked about that. What I'll talk about here on the work experience is that it's reverse crime. So it's most recent to least recent. Okay? So, and then you can put the name of the employer, your position, the city, state, and then the month that you started and ended. If you're still working there, then you would say April 2019, February 2019 to present. So you would say to present. Therefore, when you're getting into this, and I think I'm going to talk about this more in a little bit slide. So you're going to describe your responsibilities, but make sure you think about it from this perspective. Quantify as much as possible. Work with 25 students, help 30 students to do this. If you can talk about, say, social media, you may launch a social media site, and then you increase the followers by 80% by going on the quad and getting students to follow or something like that. Yeah. could put that on your resume for sure. Absolutely. Day of service, and you want to talk about what you did with that. But in most cases, in that case, it's going to be worked on a team of 4, that, yeah. So you can talk about that, dedicated 8 hours, to this, that's, dedicated 6 hours to helping, on painting or, whatever it is that you did with that. Absolutely. And that can go under activities and leadership. But, you want to continuously look for that. And say you're a person who's totally into community service. Under your skills and attributes section, you could say, more than 100 hours, of community service. So they really see that that's really something that you're passionate about.
Is it better to not, I mean, not, but is it better not to answer anything in your resume that you do during high school?
So that's a good question. Typically, high school goes away when you get to college because they're looking for you to start a new chapter. The only way I would say that it should stay on there if it's something that you're continuing to do. So say you're in some type of organization and you're continuing to be active with it, or maybe in your first semester of your freshman year, you can put some things on there, but most employers say, if high school is good for you, then make it great in college. If it wasn't so good, here's a chance for you to start over. But they really want to see what you're doing on a leadership level. So that's a good question. Because I get a lot of high school, and the high school, I'm like, they don't care. You're here. Tell us about what you're doing at A&M. Okay. So we talked about class projects, but this is again an example of being able to quantify. So from this is kind of engineering, co-led a team of 6 using Pro-E to design a 3D model of a sailboat with a $20 budget, organize weekly status meetings to discuss progress, complete the project ahead of schedule, and $5 under budget. So it's succinct. You don't have, there's no I, okay? So it's always written in third person. And you don't have to have fillers like the, it goes against the English norm, but employers are kind of filling in, themselves. But again, this is action. So action, this is the software that they use. So this is a more technical one versus something on more kind of human services. Facilitated a session for 15 teenage mothers, taught them 5 ways to make parenting less stressful. 4-week post-survey revealed ongoing effectiveness. So again, quantifying, I'm using action words so that people can get a sense that I'm thinking about outcomes. Because everybody these days is going to be outcomes. So what are your results? Okay. This is kind of the day of service, worked on a team of 8 that painted a rehab home for a family of 6 that was previously homeless, collected donations for the children. Okay, so think numbers, think action. All right, so kind of talked about that. Action words: organized, launched, conducted, collaborated, prepared. Now these are past tense because this would be for something that you previously had. If you're currently doing something, then you would say organized, launch. Okay. In some cases, you may have a current job. This may be something that you've done. Then you could say it could be past tense and that you may have completed it. But you can go online and look up action words for resumes, and there are pages and pages and pages of words out there. So that you don't have, and that should be the first word in those bullet points that we talked about, should be an action word. So there are enough words out there in English we can help you find synonyms, right? And so that you don't have to have the same word in every single bullet point. So pulling it all together. So let's just look at, compare and contrast. Somebody has said clean floors, right? You could say ensure that building was aesthetically appealing for employees and guests. It's English. It's making it sound, much stronger. Okay. Increase downloads, or develop a social marketing strategies to increase awareness of the new app. In the first 4 months, downloads increased by 850%. Saying the same thing, but which one sounds more impressive? The second. Okay. She can help you with that. we can help you with that. But it's about making that presentation, that professional look of those students. This is them, right? This is a student who may not be dressed professionally. They're not communicating, they're not conveying their strengths, whereas these students are, okay? And it doesn't, this isn't a fancy job, cleaning floors. Some students, they wash dishes. Well, there's a health benefit, right, to having clean dishes. So you're sanitizing, you know, to minimize health risks, right? I mean, if you're looking at, it depends on how you're looking at your job. I'm a dishwasher. No, I'm a sanitizer, you know, because I want to minimize health risks and liabilities. If the dishes aren't clean and somebody gets sick, that's a big liability to the employer. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can see that that fits into the overall restaurant safety and the diner's experience. You get a plate that's dirty, what do you like? Right? I don't even know if I want to eat here, you know? So if that's your job and you view it that way, you understand it, you're going to take that much more pride in what you're doing. So these are more, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but, you know, set up displays or develop in-store merchandise display that increase sales by 20%. Okay? Operate a cash register, operate an electronic cash register, and consistently balance a team. That's what you do. I'm trustworthy, right? Create an Excel spreadsheet or use Excel to create a database containing critical data on 5,000 customers. Sorted data. Now you're showing that you know how to use it. Not only are you familiar with Excel, but you can manipulate it to meet various managers' needs and create a chart to show trends. Again, same task, it's just a matter of how you communicate that. All right? So we are going to talk, your resume really becomes a reflection of your brand. If it's online, that is your brand. What they see on paper is your brand, which then we hope will lead to an interview, and that's a whole nother workshop in terms of interviewing skills, and then we hope that will lead to a career opportunity. If you're at the career fair, it's your personal brand that we hope will then ask, and how you introduce yourself, which we hope will lead to the employer asking for your resume, and again to the interview, and then to the career opportunity. So we talked about the package. It's the resume, it's the interview skills, it's the personal brand, it's that virtual presence. And let me underscore for you that employers check your social media. So you have posters around campus before you like, think, tweet, post, think. Because one post can actually keep you from getting a job. I've known a student who did not like something, did not tweet it, but somebody posted something on that student's social media page that an employer felt was so offensive that they called and said, decline that offer, or rescind that offer. And that student can work there anymore. So if somebody is putting something on your site that could be detrimental to you, block it, block that person. Because you may think, certainly you should keep it private, but you still may be tied to somebody who isn't private. So they can still find ways to get in there. So I say scream it, but don't post it. Everybody doesn't need to know when you wake up and that you put on these socks and stuff your whole day. I mean, some people tell you their whole life, how they're feeling. It's not, don't use social media for that, because it is part of your professional package. And trust me, it can hurt you. Okay? References. Have a list of prospects, and you want to avoid overload. So you want to ask people, which is why you want to, do well in your classes and show up on time, because professors can be good references with notice. Ensure that, other people that you work with, here on campus, your supervisors here on campus, personal friends, former supervisors, so you want to leave your jobs on good terms, whenever you can. So, but you want to make sure, you want to be honest. Are you comfortable saying something positive about me, you know. And if they're not, then say thank you for your candor and move on. Okay, don't try to restore it, because at that point your perception is, you know, whatever it is. But you want to make sure that your reference will say something positive. Have their contact information. Let them know, you know, that you are applying for a position and that you'd like for them to be a reference for, but you have already gotten their approval. And then let them know the position for which you applied, you know, and make sure that they're clear in terms of how long you've known each other, because that will oftentimes come up, and you want your information. Okay? And give them a copy of your resume and company. I mean, I've written tons of resumes, but I've also had to tell some students I can't because I don't know well enough. So most people who are writing, because then it becomes an extension of me, right? If I'm making a recommendation for somebody and they do well, then they go, okay, I'm going back to Miss Clayton so that she can send me some more students from A&M. But if I make a recommendation of a student who I don't know that well, and that student doesn't perform well, then that may mess up opportunities for other students, but they'll say, she recommended that person and they didn't do so well. So I need to know students well enough to know that I'm going to write. If I write it, I'm just going to be strong. And if I don't know them, then I'll just say, I think you should ask somebody who knows better. Okay? So, parting remarks. Say you get to that point, you submitted your resume, and now you're kind of hoping to get that call. Okay? Don't answer if you're not prepared to speak. Okay? If you're just waking up in the morning, or if you're in class, or if you're out on Sunday, Wednesday, and it's a lot of music and stuff, but don't answer the phone. Let it go to voicemail. You know, check your response, but I respond in the same day, because they're going down the list usually, and they're like trying to set up interviews or whatever. And so if you don't respond, then they're going to the next person. So don't waste, don't let a lot of time slip, but make sure that you're calling them in a quiet space. We have interview rooms. If you need to make a phone call, you know, if you need to have a telephone interview, a Skype interview, we have interview rooms in career development services. Create a signature line for your email, which we can talk about more. But your name, you know, your major, you know, when you're going to be graduating, your email address, and your telephone number, so that they can find that. It should always be in there. And then always include a message within your email. Some students send me emails and there's nothing in the email. I'm like, so what? You know, oh, I thought you knew. Well, you should always, it's like walking up to somebody and just giving them a blank sheet of paper and walking away. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? So always include a message in the body of your email. It could be something as simple as, morning, Mrs. Clayton, per your request, I'm attaching a copy of my resume. I would appreciate your input. And then when you save your resume, save it as your name. Because a lot of students will say resume. So if I download all these resumes and now I'm trying to figure out who's the student, I don't know, but they all say resume. So think of an employer that's maybe simultaneously downloading 20 resumes. They don't know who, so they may have to rename it. You don't want to have to give them that extra step. Or they may just open the ones that are saved professionally with your name, and then they'll get to the other ones when they have time. Okay? So always save it. And it's a whole nother session, which we've had. We've had a workshop on LinkedIn. I would encourage you to create a LinkedIn account as well. Tons of employees there. Employees look for students on there. I have a couple of students that have actually been contacted that have told me I'm looking more, have been contacted via LinkedIn by employers. We're here, but don't wait until it's time to graduate. Register with us. We're part of the graduation clearance process, but we don't want the resume to be a part of it. We want your resume to be done ideally in your freshman year, and then you're updated every year thereafter. But to come to us in your senior year saying, I need help with the resume, says probably haven't been that aggressive in your internship, search. And so that can hurt you when you graduate and you're competing with people who have had multiple internships before. Yeah. I'd say, depending upon your major, you should start looking for them in your freshman year. You could go to the career fair in your freshman year, somebody said, we only hire sophomores. But I am so impressed that you as a freshman came to see me. Make sure you come back to me next year. Okay. You know, it never hurts to take the initiative to start. But for sure, sophomore year, more companies in engineering, they'll start in their freshman year. In business, sometimes it's that sophomore, junior year. The smaller companies will take students earlier and, you know, try to kind of groom them, you know, for them. So it's never too early. Never too early.
What is the difference between an internship and a co-op?
So co-ops are typically like full-time, and an employer will require 3 co-op placements. So if you sign up with the company, they're gonna expect you to work for them 3 times. Like it could be a summer, and then a fall, and spring. It could, you know, it depends. I've seen students take summer, fall, spring, just be gone for a whole year, or you know, or they'll you know, switch it up. It just depends on like when your classes are, because this semester you make this some prerequisites, which is why some students may go for the whole year and just, you know, but it's full time, and it's immersion, you know, if you will. Internships are usually more part time, and there is not a requirement that you should stay for somebody multiple years. So co-ops are more common on the engineering side. I'm starting to see more co-ops come up on the business side as well, and even on the food science side. But that's the difference in that you may go away. Now I will say, if you get a co-op here and you are on a scholarship, they'll freeze you. So you don't have to worry about, you know, missing or losing, you know, scholarship money. We can help you do that, but you know, financial aid will freeze it for you so that you can come back and pick up exactly what you left. I'm sorry. Yes, you can take online classes. If you take 6 hours, then you're eligible for financial aid. So you can do that. But let me say this, depending upon that co-op, I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but your priority is to perform really well on that co-op. And so if you're taking a really tough classes that are distracting you on your co-op, that is going to turn around and be detrimental. And so if there are classes that are, you know, you can do online in the evening, but you don't want to say, you know, I can't go hang out with you guys, or I can't do the service practice on Saturday because I have to go home and do my homework. Now you're competing against your peers, which is what that workshop is about tomorrow, kind of how to succeed in the workplace. You cannot be so focused on your studies that you're not performing well in your co-op. And it's happening, you know, had this recently, a couple years ago, an employer had a couple of interns. One of them did exceptionally well. The other one was so focused on her coursework that she didn't. So she spent that whole semester away and then didn't even get invited back. So, you know, and how do you talk about that in the interview, that you had a co-op and it didn't go well? Because you probably can't use those people as a reference. So, you know, that needs to be your priority. You accept it, understanding that it may give me a setback, or I'm going to take 2 classes, but there's something that I can really manage. And so I can do that and it won't compete. But I usually tell students for that first co-op, just do it full time. You know, and then if it goes well, you learn the lay of the land of the workplace, then consider taking, you know, a class after that. Is it going to set you back? Yes. Do we have students that are here for 6 years? Yes, because they spent a year and a half away from school, you know, doing the co-op. But when they graduate, you know, they're making them have big offers. I got a student yesterday I was talking to, you know, 6 figures salary, but he's done multiple, you know, internships and co-ops. So it pays off, you know, in the long run. Summers are great. Summer internships are fantastic, and again, a lot of employers will start in the fall for the summer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So yeah, yesterday at the part-time job fair, there were people that had some summer internship. So they come fall and spring career fair, but you'll notice if you look at the list of employers, like in the spring, there's a lot more school teachers that come to the career fair because they're trying to recruit those teachers. In the fall, you have those, Fall Wings and Lockheed Martins and a lot of those companies. They may come both times. Just depends upon how many opportunities they have. But a lot of companies will come for the summer in the fall. Students say, I'm gonna wait and go to the spring. You should go to both, but you could really be missing out on some opportunities by now. In fact, the FBI, their deadline for next summer is August. This August. So if you think you want to work for the FBI, you need to be applying now because it takes that long to go through the security process. And so if you miss August for them, then you're looking at 2021. That's how far companies plan, and there are hundreds of internship opportunities posted in Handshake right now. Hundreds of them. We just had a workshop on Handshake last week in terms of how to navigate. Please check your emails. I know you guys text. We're starting to send text messages telling you to check your email. But Handshake has lots of opportunities. Say you want to live in a different city and state, you can type the city and state in Handshake and it'll employers post. Employers know that Handshake is for college students and they post a lot of opportunities in there. So those opportunities are across the globe. Okay. So, okay.
So dress code. I understand professional dress. Are you expected to leave your colors for interviews? Like, should you always just wear black?
Dark colors are best. And here's the thing: if someone's talking about what you had on, and instead of what you said, that's a problem. Right. So I would rather them focus on your smile, your presentation, and not what you have on. So I have on blue. Today blue is fine, gray, black. Doesn't mean you can't have a little bit of that. That blouse is fine.
Okay.
That blouse is perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be, but it just shouldn't be, say it was cut like this, and then remembering cleavage, instead of personality and smile and intellect, and, then that's a problem. When I first got here, we didn't have a dress code at the career fair. We do now. But one time a young lady walked in here with a dress up to here. And I said, you can't go in. We had to enforce the dress code. And she slipped by. And I guess she thought she was hurting me. I had, I think, 4 employees come up to me saying, did you see the young lady? I said, yes, in the blue dress. Yes, I know. They were like she's hurting herself. And she thought I was some old lady just being, no. If they're talking about that, they're talking about the wrong thing. So that's why we say that. Then once you get in, you'll learn the culture of the workplace. And you want to just kind of fit in. My son actually got his undergrad and graduate degree here, where he works, it's more casual than his internship. So he's having to kind of dress down in a way that he's never had to do before, but he knows that he can't make himself, even though he likes to be comfortable wearing suits, they don't wear suits. So he's having to kind of change his wardrobe and get to a more relaxed dress code that still feels comfortable for him, still also makes him feel busy. But so you can look at your manager and kind of dress like that, but you don't want to dress that. You can't come in with a suit. The manager is wearing a suit. You're gonna be like, what's up with him? If you're trying to, not, so it's like he has to. In other cases, you may have to go and buy suits. People, are dressing, in that way. But for the interview, the only thing they want to remember is, your delivery, your communication skills, and it's a nice suit, but you don't want them thinking, and when you sit, those skirts go up, right? So make sure, you may say, this feels like an old lady, but when you sit, if it's up here, now you're uncomfortable and you're focusing on trying to pull it down instead of focusing on being comfortable and relaxed, in the interview. So You don't need, if the career fair, don't wait for high heels. You should be walking around for an hour. You know, I probably get 20,000 steps at the career fair. Not too walking around. Now, my shoes should be better, but, you know, nobody's expecting you to be walking around in heels that high. Actually, those aren't even really workplace heels. So you have to kind of separate personal life from your professional life. It's not. If they're wearing shorts to work, say you're working at Amazon, don't let your feet be short. Have more curves, and you know, again, we don't need them. You know, somebody looking at that. Just it's better to have somebody not remember something versus let them remember your work and not body parts. It's not necessary. Any more questions? Did she apply for that? For the Apple? Yeah. It is still posted. I mean, I actually went to Apple, and they were very pleased with the number of applicants that they had. It's on school. Students. Yeah, I think they have a separate program for people outside, but this is specifically for college.
So she wouldn't be considered a recent grad. I mean, she didn't graduate, but you know,
You gotta be in school.
or you got to be in school at the time of graduation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think while you're working, you know, as well. It's a college program, but it could be any major, and that's useful. Any more questions? So we're here to help. You know, we can, you know, I just encourage you to keep your eyes open. We've done workshops pretty much with every topic that's out there, and so unfortunately, you know, most systems, even in the workplace, is going to be driven by email. So it's a matter of getting yourself accustomed to just checking your email and putting them in your calendar or something. We have a lot. We try to plan in advance. In an employee's call or an info session, you know, we rarely tell them employees no. But at times they feel like, so many emails. Yeah, but because we don't want you to miss an opportunity. And what the mini career fair started off at 8, about the time we finished, it was 20 seconds. They were looking, you know, they had opportunities. So, and a lot of times we have the same students that come over and over. And we're happy for that, but they already have more offers. I'm like, where are the students that don't have an offer? We need them to come, you know, so they can get more. I'm like, you help, you mentor, but don't come, you know, but encourage somebody else who doesn't have an opportunity. Because at the end of the day, when you walk across that stage, you know, I'm talking about the commencement stage, you want to feel like I put my time in and I know where I'm going. Versus walking across saying, you know, waking up the next day or even beforehand, which is what schools are panicking now. I'm about to graduate. I need to find a job. Yeah, we know that. We're trying to tell you and reach out and help, you know, as much as we can for the whole time you've been here. But you know, employers are not going to have your sense of purpose. They came in the fall, and they came in the spring. And guess what? They may have all of them before. So now you're competing with tens of thousands of other students who also did not do much to prepare themselves. And now you're competing with them. I'm not saying you won't find them, but it may not come right away. You know, these days, especially things being online, when people are applying like crazy, the handshake is there. LinkedIn, you know, is there networking, going to conferences and things like that, you know, can open up some opportunities. But don't wait. Don't wait till it's time to graduate. Okay? All right.
Thank you so much. I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, I want to say that when you were talking about the importance of doing well in an internship or co-op or some opportunity that you get, those, because you want to be able to use that as a reference and all of that, that also applies if you have an on-campus job. If you work in one of the departments, if you're helping out as a work study student or something like that, how you perform in any position could potentially make or break you when you go out to get another position. So don't take it for granted. A lot of times when you're in a university setting, you're like, oh, this is just my English department or my psychology department. You know, I can do whatever. I can come to work and do my homework instead of doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But this is building your resume as well and your work experience as well. And how you perform on these jobs will also reflect on how you are as an employee when you go elsewhere. And about the social media thing, I'm so glad you touched on that because it also reflects who you are. If you need to go and purge things from your past, do that, because they will search and they will go back, not just to your most recent posts, but also past ones as well, if they want to get a sense of who you are for real, right? So how you represent yourself and how you like or share or who you're affiliated with online. And that has to do not just with the racy things like you might think when you're at the party drinking or whatever, but it's also your political and religious views, which can be a hindrance to a position. Think about those things as well when you go back through your social media and start purging and disconnecting yourself from people who might hurt you. I also wanted to emphasize the language that you were talking about. Obviously, we're the Writing Center, and so come back whenever you want, and we can talk about how to do some of the things that Ms. Clayton was talking about as terms of the language, the action verbs. I think that's such a great way to talk about. It's really about being specific and concrete, because what does it mean that you worked at such and such a place, right? That doesn't put a picture in the employer's mind as to what you actually did. But if you say, I did this, I helped this many people, those concrete things will really make it clear specifically what you're able to do. And so definitely come back and we can help you with some of that language as she mentioned as well. Now I know we are about out of time. Ms. Dominique had put together a handout for you on the job letter, which goes right along with everything that Ms. Clayton just went through. The job letter, or the cover letter as it's called, is a really good way to draw attention to your resume, because if an employer is getting thousands of resumes and spends maybe 6 seconds on each one, the cover letter is sort of a way to directly communicate with him or her as to what you want that person to see on the resume in particular. And so it's really a good way to distinguish yourself. I don't know if you have time to go through it. Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. So like she said, your cover letter, some employers will request a cover letter. You have to have it along with your resume, so you usually just attach that to the front of your resume. But sometimes you can apply for jobs that aren't actually hiring for a specific position. Sometimes you send your resume to certain organizations. Always make sure you have a cover letter with it, because even if they don't say it, it's still a good idea to send one, because as you see from this survey that's conducted, 91% of over 1,000 people who they surveyed said that cover letters are either somewhat or very valuable when evaluating candidates, because as Dr. Roper was saying yesterday, when they go through your resume, they literally do it like this. And it's like 2 or 3 seconds out there viewing your resume, and you want your resume or your cover letter to stand out because you're competing with other people. So these are just some tips about what to do with your cover letter. Just think of it as an elevator pitch. If you're on an elevator trying to pitch something to someone important, you only have a few seconds before you reach the floor you're trying to get to. So sell yourself really quickly in your cover letter. That's your first impression that the employer is going to have of you, so make it count. Make sure you use keywords in your resume and your cover letter, because sometimes HR managers, they look for keywords, but sometimes they send it through a software that scans it for keywords. So you want to make sure your resume and your cover letter are scannable as well. Don't repeat the same information that's on your resume. That's why you have a resume. So try to stand out a little bit and make it a little bit more personable on your cover letter, but not too personal, so you don't want to talk about like your kids and stuff like that. You don't want to make sure your cover letter is specific. So that's a little bit different from your resume in that it is tailored to a specific job. So if I'm applying to be, so I'm an English major, I can apply to be a teacher, or I can apply to go be a technical writer at the FBI. My cover letter for applying for Huntsville City Schools will be different than my cover letter applying for the FBI. So I'm going to make it specific to whatever job I'm applying for. If you don't have all of the qualifications that a job, an employer is looking for, don't tell them that, oh, I don't have these skills. Highlight the skills that you do have that they're requesting. Make sure when you talk about, and she said this, and both said this, use the you attitude is what they call it. But tell them, instead of saying, like, I clean floors, tell them exactly what you did. And not only that, how does that help this employer? So I have this set of skills, and this is how you can, as an employer, you can utilize my skills to help better your company, things like that. On the writing side of things, and you can always come to the Writing Center to help with this, you want to make sure that your paragraphs are organized and that they flow just like you would in a paper for one of your classes. You want to avoid using I. You can use a little bit of I in a cover letter because it is a little bit more personal, but you don't want to just I all the time. You want to try to use that sparingly. Make sure you proofread and edit and proofread and edit and proofread and edit again, because there are a lot of reasons your resume can be thrown out, but you don't want it to be, you can be the most qualified person in the world and then you have a typo or grammatical error and it's in the trash. Check for things like spelling, parallelism. If you have a list of things, because on resumes and cover letters, you often have a list of things that's not in that standard English sentence format a lot of times. You want to make sure it's parallel, so you want to, everything it looks right and it's matching up the way everything is worded. And you want to make sure you have correct dates and stuff. So if you worked at an employer, you want to make sure your dates are specific because, like you said, they're probably going to follow up with that employer, and you want to make sure your information matches with theirs. Last thing is make sure you are not too wordy, and so you want to eliminate language that's not necessary to explain your point, and that's something that we do in our English papers already, so it's something that you want to apply to your resume and for your cover letter. So the example I have here, it says, the estimate which is enclosed. That's unnecessary. You can just say the enclosed estimate. So you can eliminate a lot of times you can eliminate small words. I know I was talking to an English professor, and she said one of the most overused words she sees all the time is that. And a lot of times you can go through writing and you can take out the word that and your sentence still making sense, but it's not too wordy, because when you do it, if it's wordy, it's hard, it can be hard to understand. So what you're trying to say comes off a little bit different. And that's it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you all being here. Please, if you would, scan the link or the QR code if you have that ability on your phone, and give us your feedback. We'd like to know what kinds of other workshops you would like us to offer. We will certainly partner with Career Services again continually throughout the school year. What we do is similar. You're working on one end to prepare them, and we're helping you to polish the work that you're presenting and the presentation that you're offering. So again,
The last thing, that same thing applies to thank you notes.
yeah.